It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh yes, it is. It is your feel-good breakfast show. You're on S3, and it's time to get into those parenting tips to encourage water play. Now, water fascinates children from the earliest of ages. We know this as parents, and human potential and parenting expert Nikki Bush is joining us to share some great ideas for keeping children busy and also entertained with something as simple as water. And you don't need a swimming pool either. Nikki Bush, good morning. Always so good to connect with you.
Hello, Jamie. Lovely to be with you this morning.
I have a little one, and it's so funny now because he just started swimming lessons for about a month now. So he's absolutely living his best life. He loves being inside the water. And now bath time has become so much more fun because he's trying to blow bubbles in the water. But why do kids find water so fascinating?
There's that fluidity of water. There's that sense of wonder. You know, I think about Joburg last week. It rained most of the week, and any toddler with their salt was out there in the puddles with their gumboots, with their raincoats, with their little umbrellas, just displacing water, making it move. On a hot summer's day, spraying each other with a hose pipe. And if you watch little ones at preschool at the water table, they absolutely love pouring water out of cups into containers and making water move. And water is this magical substance because it's fluid, it's colorless, and it changes state. It can be hard like ice, it can be liquid like water, and then of course it can become steam as well. So children, if you watch them when they play with water, they absolutely lose themselves in this water play. It's fascinating. And you mentioned your child with bathing and swimming, living his best life, and it's just calming because the skin is the biggest sensory organ of the body. And with water play, often the whole body is involved. So bathing, showering, swimming, and of course playing with puddles and in big tubs of water.
And it attaches to so many good memories, because I also remember growing up, some of my best memories was running through the sprinklers on the field and just feeling that water on your skin. But also, why does the medium of water provide such a rich learning environment?
Well, there's just so much that children can learn. Let's think of what they do with water. They pour it, they dump it, they fill things up, they splash, they mix. So they can be mixing water and sand. They can be mixing food coloring and water, and it changes color. Then squirting, that's the hose pipe thing, the squirting thing. Think about a sponge. A sponge can be squished and squeezed. And then if they have different toys in water, some things are light and they float, and other things are heavy and they sink. So there's this fascination about what can we do with water. So there's a lot of maths and science and experimentation that can be done with water. So children are fascinated. There's this sense of wonder and delight when it comes to water play.
I love that we're encouraging water play as long as they're not using the phone or my phone or anything valuable to try and test it out to see if it's going to float or sink. But obviously, like I mentioned, you don't need a swimming pool to encourage this play. What are other household items or objects we can also use to encourage and enhance water play as well?
Well, there is so much, and I think this is one of the advantages of water play is you don't necessarily have to go and buy toys. So containers like a bucket or a big tub. If you want, you can go and buy yourself a water table like your children have at preschool. And I really do stress that water play should not stay at preschool. You should bring it home. What about a blow-up swimming pool? Those don't cost a lot. So there's so much you can do with that. And even the kitchen sink. So when you are busy cooking, your child can be standing on a stool next to you and washing up the Tupperware that, of course, doesn't need washing up. But it's this fascination with water and bubbles. And then all those kitchen utensils that you have, like a colander or a sieve, water can fall through space. And spades, the little kiddies' spades and funnels really do well. An eyedropper. Think about the fine motor coordination that your child will use with an eyedropper. And then the mustard and the tomato sauce bottles, those squeezy bottles, fill those with water. You can go and buy water wheels, sponges, face cloths, and even some bits of old hose pipe can actually do really well when kids are playing with water. And we can talk about the kinds of activities that we're going to do with these objects.
Well, we are not letting you go anywhere because clearly it sounds like mom and dad is going to have so much more fun than the kids. But we're, of course, going to be continuing our conversation with Nikki in just a bit. Stay with us from the importance of water play to the importance of story time.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
You are still live here on your Feel Good Breakfast show. Now, earlier on, we connected with human potential and parenting expert Nikki Bush to talk about why water play is such fun and so important for our children. And we're continuing the conversation with her now. Nikki Bush, are you still with us?
I am.
Yay. Thank you so much. I mean, earlier on we spoke about how much fun the kids have when they're playing with water, whether it be in the sprinkler, in the bath time, all of these things. But what are some of the other fun activities kids can do with water?
Gosh, there are so many things to do, and one of my favorites on a hot summer's day is to give children a big bucket of water and some big paintbrushes. So either they're thick, podgy paintbrushes that toddlers and preschoolers have, or even the ones that you would use to paint walls with, and get them to paint the hot paving stones in your driveway, on your patio, around your swimming pool. And it's like magic because it's wet, and then because of the heat, of course, the water dries up and it disappears. So that's an exciting one for them. Then blowing bubbles through the hose pipe into the bucket of water, or with a straw even into a bowl. So using the power of their breath to create something. And you can sing, believe it or not, through a hose pipe. So when they've got their mouths on the hose pipe, they can be singing a song and it actually reverberates in the water, so they can start creating music, which leads me to talking about floating things like metal bowls or pots and pans in water, and then giving them a spoon, and they can tap those bowls and pots and pans, and they'll hear different sounds, different pitches, different tones. And then those things like corks, you know, if you're having a bottle of wine on a Sunday, give your kids the corks, and they float and they can blow them across the surface of the water. And another favorite for me is to give children a bowl of water or a pot of water with a bit of dishwashing liquid and a little bit of food coloring and a rotary egg beater. And they can make bubbles, and of course colored bubbles. So such a fun way to while away an afternoon, just playing with water and letting it drip through your hands and pouring and sinking and blowing and beating. So much that you can do. And of course, what are children doing? They're experimenting with gravity. They're changing, oh, that's another one, ice with food coloring, or crush the ice with food coloring. So that whole science experiment feel is brilliant with water.
You making me honestly so excited to go out there, play with my little one, because obviously all I'm thinking now is him trying to sing Baby Shark through the hosepipe right now. But obviously we spoke about earlier on how, you know, why it's so important for children to play with water, but maybe let's expand a bit more what children can actually learn from playing with water.
So there's the eye-hand coordination, all of those things that we've been talking about. If you're playing with water or sand, if you're pouring, if you're using the little squeezy eyedropper, fine motor coordination, and then of course that concentration and focus. You have a 3-year-old, and one day your 3-year-old needs to be able to focus and concentrate for 20 to 30 minutes at a time. With water play, watch how their focus and concentration expands. That whole sensory exploration through the skin is fantastic. So rough and smooth, wet and dry, gravity, cold and hot, and solid and liquid. Listen to all the words that we're using here. And then for maths, we can have full and we can have empty. So those are things that children need to experience in a very real and concrete way before they will ever understand the words in a maths class. And then when you put children together as a group around water, you find that there's so much communication and so much cooperation that takes place. And then as they get older, of course, they want to spray each other and chase each other with water and splash. And, you know, so there's lots of fun and laughter and memories, really good memories that children are making through play. And of course, they're learning through play as well.
Definitely the memories as well, but also there's a safety aspect when it comes to being around water. How do we as parents ensure that our kids are staying safe when they are being outside, playing with water and just surrounded by water?
So when there is water around, a parent is always a lifeguard because children can even drown in a bucket of water. So you always have to have your eyes and your ears open. You never leave children in a bath alone, and you certainly don't leave them in a swimming pool alone. And even, as I said, if they've got 2 buckets of water and they're pouring from one to the other, you've got to keep your eyes open. So you need to be present, but it's a great thing to be there, to be able to watch the joy and the delight in your children's playtime as they actually play with water and are so fascinated by this amazing medium.
Nikki, you have given us all a reason to go outside, have fun this summer, play with water, get messy with the kids. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
That's a pleasure. And go and look at my toy reviews on nikkibush.com because there's a great new water play activity that people can see there.
We certainly will do so. Of course, Mzansi, that was human potential and parenting expert Nikki Bush sharing some pearls of wisdom to help you along your parenting journey. We all need each other. It's a sense of community. But to learn more about her work and to access her amazing free resources to help you on your journey, you can visit Nikki's website on www.nikkibush.com.